evening. Good evening. Hi, welcome. This is Simone Matthew, and welcome to Push Past 10. We are here with another conversation, another initiative to help to move our Caribbean brothers and sisters and our Caribbean islands together. Again, hello, I am Simone Matthew. It is great to be here with you on Push Past 10 as we continue to bring you opportunities to advance the lives of our Caribbean people at home in the Caribbean and throughout the worldwide diaspora from Jamaica to Trinidad and beyond. We are proud to bring you opportunities which benefit the lives of our people. It is great to be live with you on Push Past 10 on Facebook, on Push Past 10 on Facebook and YouTube. And I know that you will also be joining us for the replay if you missed this program. And you will also listen to the program on our Untapped Potential program on TDN Radio. So it is great to be back with you. If this is your first time being on the Push Past 10 platform on Facebook and YouTube, we are dedicated to advancing the lives of Caribbean people at home and abroad. And if you're interested in finding out more about who we are and what we do, you can log on to pushpast10.com. pushpast10.com. Today, we are joined by 4 universities who are very interested in recruiting our students. So without any further delay, let us invite our guests to the conversation. Let us bring them in so they can introduce themselves and tell us in about a minute or two who they are, and then we will have an opportunity to learn more about their universities. So Amy, let's go ahead and begin with you.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me today. My name is Amy Van Rensburg. I'm actually from the University of Guelph, which is in Ontario, Canada. I think I'm representing Canada today. I don't know if there's any other Canadians on here, but I'm in Guelph at the moment at my home, but thank you so much for having me here. I want to talk a little bit about the University of Guelph. So in 2 minutes, I'll wrap it into a nice little bow. We're considered a medium-sized university, so we have about 27,000 students at the undergrad and about 3,000 at the graduate level. We're a walking campus, so we're one of those campuses that you feel everything's all together. So we're not in downtown Toronto, we're about an hour outside of Toronto. So if you fly into Canada, you'd be flying into the city of Toronto, and about an hour out is Guelph. We offer 85 different programs at the undergraduate level, ranging from we're really good at the Bachelor of Sciences. We have great science facilities. We're known for animal science, agricultural, food science, a lot of the chemistry. We then have a Bachelor of Commerce, so a big Lang program, which is our Lang Business School. So there's a huge range of different business opportunities, as well as engineering. We have an engineering school and a computing school and a massive art school. So that was a very brief overview of all 85 programs, but we accept students all over the world. So we have about 140 different countries represented on our campus. So if you do want to learn a bit more about what you can do here up in Canada, I know Canada's a choice in itself, is whether you want to go down to the States or all the way up to us here in the north, but there's no snow currently. The snow is gone. So I will say it's a beautiful, beautiful place, a very safe and lovely place to live up here in Canada. So that was a very brief high-level overview of Guelph, but if you want to know more, please visit our website or give me an email at the end of this presentation.
Yes, thank you for that. So let's do the initial introductions, and then we'll talk about the university.
I went far too much into it.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Amy, for that. I appreciate it. So just kind of your name, your title, and the institution that you represent for now, and then we're going to talk in depth about the university. So Kevin, let me come over to you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Matthew. Thank you for hosting us. We're happy to be able to present. So my name is Dr. Kevin Timlin. I am the Executive Director of International Education and Services at Southeast Missouri State University. We, too, are a public university situated in the middle part of the U.S. We're right on the banks of the Mississippi River, about 1.5 hours south of the city of St. Louis. So, and I'll go into more detail about our programs and our university next time I get to speak.
Yes, and let's come over to you, Thomas.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Thomas Merlo. I am the director of the International Involvement Center at Northwest Missouri State University, so in the same state as Dr. Timlin. One cool thing about me is I'm actually an international student myself. I came from the country of France. So I've been in the US for about 15 years, and I just fell in love with Missouri, and I really never left. So this is a little bit about me.
Yes, thank you. And then we have Maddie. You can introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maddie Petherick. I'm from SUNY Brockport, which is the State University of New York, and I am the International Services Coordinator.
Yes, thank you for that. And last but certainly not least, Keith.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Keith Davis, Interim Director for Center for Global Education and Engagement here at SUNY Brockport, tagging along with Maddie to share everything that's great about SUNY Brockport in upstate New York.
Yes, thank you for that. So thank you everyone for being here to share on this opportunity. Dr. Timlin, let me come back to you so you can tell us a little bit about your university in terms of where you're located, the degrees you offer, and why is it important to have this initiative of recruiting students in the Caribbean?
Okay, sure. Thank you. So as I mentioned before, we are a public institution of about 10,000 total students in the state of Missouri. Missouri is the center part of the U.S. We're not on the East Coast or the West Coast. But what that means is the cost of living is a little bit lower in the middle part of the United States. We're a town of about 40,000 people in a university of about 10,000 people. So we're in somewhat of a rural part of the United States, not too far from St. Louis, not too far from Memphis, but we have two major medical institutions in town. We have a medium-sized public institution. So there's a lot going on in our town, and most of it is centered around students. What we kind of specialize in, and why like somebody might find Southeast to be the right choice for them, and this kind of gets to your question, Dr. Matthew, about why we're recruiting in the Caribbean and what our goals are, is we've had recently a few students come through our programs from the Caribbean that have really taken advantage of all of the opportunities that we have to give students and open the doors to OPT opportunities, grad school opportunities, job offers at the next level. Because what we do is we give you an affordable price point, and we give you high-level academics and access to develop relationships with our professors, have opportunities to do undergraduate research, have opportunities to work on campus, to really be something of yourself and make something of yourself. The analogy that I often give that we specialize at Southeast is we look for outstanding students who have around a $20,000 per year budget for their everything in their education, not just tuition, but cost of living and everything, that you're going to be able to come here, have an outstanding academic opportunity. We have free student leadership development programs. It starts with the first year leaders, then the emerging leaders program, then the Presidential Leadership Academy. We have leadership opportunities in student organizations, student employment, student research, internship opportunities. And you take all of these experiences and blend them in with your coursework, blend them in with the leadership development programs, where our high-level students who are willing to take on responsibilities, take on these free opportunities to develop relationships and to grow, their door is open to wherever they want to go at the next level. We've got all kinds of students going to U.S. medical schools. It's very rare for international students to get admission into U.S. medical schools. It's very competitive. There's very few spots, but we've had a couple international students in the last couple of years. We've had a number of people going on to PhD programs at Duke University in biomedical engineering, University of Texas, Austin Medical Research Center, Johns Hopkins Advanced School of International Education or International Studies, all because these high achieving students who want to do something, who are motivated, can be a big fish in a small pond of water and really get access to outstanding resources. So we feel where we can give that opportunity to students is a benefit to the students, but we also feel that those students are a great enriching resource for our campus and our community, because we look for international students to be quote unquote ambassadors of their countries or where they're from when they come here. We give you opportunities to share. We have a place called the International Village. This is a place that's the corner of campus. It's completely dedicated to intercultural, international, global awareness sharing and things like that. We've got a kitchen, we've got food events. So all kinds of reasons that we want to recruit international students. We feel that we give them an excellent, affordable, meaningful experience, but we also know how much they bring to our campus and our community and our classrooms and discussions and things like that. So we really do value international students. Like Thomas said, he came to the U.S. as an international student himself. That's a good sign that a school knows what it takes to support and be there for international students, help them succeed. The president of our university came from Mexico originally, came to the U.S. as an international student. So we too have that kind of environment where the upper levels know, hey, international students are important for this reason. We need to do these things to support them. So those are all reasons. Off the top of my head, I could go on for a lot longer about why SEMO. As you may know, we will be in the islands at the first week of June. And unfortunately, I have to leave at about the 6:30 mark. So I left my email address up there. If I'm not around for the question and answer period, please feel free to send me an email. I'll be happy to reply.
Yes, absolutely. And what I will do towards the end of the program is I will post all the email contacts so that any student who has a potential student who has a question will be able to reach out to you. So Maddie, let me come over to you so you can tell us more about your university. And I'm assuming that you and Keith are together. So if you want, you can chime in with each other.
Yeah, so SUNY Brockport is located in Western New York. We're about 30 minutes from Rochester, and we're about an hour from Buffalo and the Canadian border. We are very accessible to planes, trains, and cars because of our location, making us about an hour flight from New York City or about a 6-hour drive from New York City. We're also part of the State University of New York system, and that's made up of 64 different campuses that include community colleges, four-year institutions, and some medical degree programs. In total, the SUNY system has about 20,000 international students, and there are 7,000 academic programs included in SUNY. SUNY Brockport is a comprehensive liberal arts institution. We have arts, humanities, social services, business, education, human development, health and human performance, as well as science and mathematics programs. So pretty much anything a student could ever want, we might have it. Some popular undergraduate programs for international students are biochemistry, business administration, computer science and computer information systems, dance, kinesiology, and sports management and tourism management. And we also have a few different graduate programs that are very popular for international students, which are our counselor education and social work programs and athletic training and sports management. We have about 5,000 students at the undergraduate level and about 1,200 graduate students. So we're a relatively small campus, which makes it great. When you're walking down the center of campus, you'll probably see someone you know or a friendly face that will wave to you. So that's really nice when you're an international student trying to make a community. We have a 15-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So our professors really try to get to know their students because our classes are very small. Students can live on or off campus, and we're nestled in a village, and the campus makes the village, so it's very safe. We have about 100 different clubs and organizations that students can join. Almost every department or office on campus hosts students to work in their office, so there's a lot of opportunity for jobs. We also do a lot of field trips to Niagara Falls or to pick apples in the fall or go pumpkin picking. Because we're in New York, we get to see all 4 different seasons, so it's really nice. And like Amy said, it's not snowing right now, so it's really great because it does snow in April in New York. And Keith, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'll just say, one of the nice things about, you think of New York and the first thing that comes to your mind might be, the big city, right? But we're the third largest city, just outside of Rochester, the third largest city in New York State. So you have all the amenities of a bigger city, but you don't really have that cost of living associated with it that you have like in New York City, for example. So you think upstate New York, it's a little bit more laid back. You're in a rural setting that's just outside of a bigger city. So you have those amenities of a bigger city, but also in a small town, sort of more intimate and safe context. So that's the kind of one thing I really like about SUNY Brockport.
Yeah, and I'm going to come to you, Thomas, and then Dr. Timlin, I want to come back to you because I know you have to head out in a little while. So you can tell us a little bit more of the type of students that you're looking for. What are some of the qualifications that you're looking for to get into the university? So let me have Thomas do his introduction of his university first, and then I'll be sure to come to you because I know you have to head out in a little while. So Thomas?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Matthew. Everyone, hello again. For us, so we're located in the similar state as Dr. Timlin in the University of Southeast Missouri, except we're in the exact opposite corner of the state. So we'll be Northwest Missouri State University. So very similar university in terms of programs, but it's some of the things, the unique feature and something that really pleased me as an international student in the state of Missouri, not only on the campus, but it's just the natural beauty. Some people always ask me as an international student, what really led you to go to the state of Missouri? And the answer for me was I never had a backyard. I never saw grass growing up. It's something I didn't have. And it's not because I was from a big city. It's just I was in a country where there was a lot of people, where we had to have, apartments. And so it was, for me, it was a big change, but it was a change that really changed me as a person in a sense of I'm able to be a little bit more laid back. And that's a culture that might be a little bit closer to yours. There's really no stress in Maryville, Missouri, where we're located. But we're close enough, similar to SEMO, similar to SUNY Brockport, to a big city. Right now, if you turn on your TV and you watch the NFL draft, it is an hour and 15 minutes away from here. The NFL draft is in Kansas City, which is just literally one highway down to Kansas City. And so you'll be able to see the kind of culture that we have, the Midwest. So this is something that I really like to share about the university is just this culture that's very unique. This Midwest culture, you run into people at the store and then it's like you start a conversation. Hello, how are you? It doesn't matter if they're from the community. It doesn't matter if they're from campus. It doesn't matter if they're just someone that's traveling to the city. It's just, there's this culture of welcoming. And this is something that sometimes is misunderstood because the Midwest might be affiliated with, different political views or anything like this, but not at all. I mean, you can take it from the international students, it is not the way you might see it on TV. We don't have cowboys. I mean, we do have, the whole atmosphere, but it's definitely something where it's very easy to blend in. And even though, there might be some difference in culture, our town around the university is very welcoming of that difference and really strive on it because they want to learn more. We do a lot of community events. And funny is actually our university police department that's in charge of those events because we want to have this safety aspect because ultimately, it might not be some people in the community's point of view of bringing international students, but our police department on campus is very supportive of our initiatives, and they will make sure they work on the communication and the outreach piece rather than the enforcement. So we actually ran a campus survey, and then our university police department was the most popular office on campus. So I just thought it's a very funny thing about our campus is we do have a lot of community events, and I think this is something that's very unique. As far as program, it's important to cover. We have 127 programs. What I want, and I think what we all want in this call is for you to find the right fit. There's going to be a program that is out of campus that we might not have, or something that we have that, SUNY Brockport might not have. This is the beauty of US campuses is we don't have one focus. We really want to be inclusive of every student profile. We want students that are very strong academic. We want students with lower academic because that way we can provide the support for the students that are high achievers and the ones that are a little bit lower. But ultimately, what we want is your success. And I think this is truly the key of what we hear. Sometimes the term recruitment can be a little bit hard because ultimately, yes, we are here to provide, or to bring students onto our campus, but ultimately we want to support you. We want to support your efforts. We want to support your family. We want to bring scholarship. We want to help you pay for your studies. We really want to go above and beyond to make you successful in life. And like Dr. Timlin was saying, this is our number one mission. Your number one mission is our success. Whether you continue your education, either you enter the workforce, even if you go home. I think this is the most beautiful thing is studying in the US, going home and making an impact at home. And as an international student, that was what I did. Is I'm back in the US now, but after graduating from college, I went back to France and I was able to help my community. I was able to do things in my community with a new perspective, a new view on life and a new view on business. So again, we have a lot to offer. We're the state arboretum, which means we have every single growing tree in the state of Missouri on campus. How cool is this? I get to see every tree in the state of Missouri on campus. We have a mascot that's made out of trees. So it is amazing. We have a lot of cool features. We have a pond on campus where you can kayak. So we're really very close to nature. We have a lot of amazing features. We're getting some really exciting things coming this fall semester. We're getting a new dining service provider. So we're going to have new food options, new meal plans. We're also getting really cool programs. We're trying to surf on this social media trend, and we're adding social media management starting in the fall. So if you're into what Dr. Matthew is doing, this broadcasting, this sharing, this being I can't think of the people. And people that do influencers. Influencers, or this is now a program on our campus. So there's definitely opportunities for you to find the right fit and to be successful. So I'm not going to take much of your time. I know we have some people that are on time constraints. So thank you so much for having me, Dr. Matthew, and thank you for listening to my presentation.
Yes, and I'm really happy you mentioned being an international student, because I'm sure by my accent you can tell I'm not American. So I'm originally from Dominica, so I hope that you get to enjoy my beautiful island home of Dominica. And it was so important, a lot of what we've already covered, feeling as part of a community when you get to America, because I too came up to attend school, and I went to school in Texas. And it was a really nice transition because, as you mentioned, Thomas, it was slow pace. It was, not the hustle and bustle of a big city. So it is very important. And then the other thing I want to make sure we mention is that if anybody's coming in and you missed a part of the program, remember you can catch the replay. Many people will catch the replay on YouTube and Facebook on Push Past 10, so you can get more of the information. And again, we will post the contact information for each one of the schools so that if you hear something that you're interested in, you can reach out. But Dr. Timlin, let me come to you before you head out and just kind of tell us some of the qualifications of the students that you're looking for. Are you accepting transfer credits? What is the type of students that you're looking for your programs?
Well, we're considered a comprehensive public institution. That means we have bachelor's degrees and master's degrees. And I represent any of the academic programs at our institution. We also have a number of certificate programs and different things like that, but typically those aren't for international students, as you need to be admitted into a degree program to get your I-20, but you could do certificate programs within there. We do accept transfers. In fact, the majority of Caribbean students that we have worked with came to us after 2-year schools in the Caribbean and then transferred to us for their final 2 years. I think that, as I understand, most of the schools in the Caribbean are on a 4.0 GPA scale, similar to what we have here in the U.S. And typically the profile of student, what we're looking for is you are going to get some kind of scholarship money as long as you have a 2.5 or higher. Now, we have a number of what I think to be very generous merit-based scholarships for undergraduates, the higher your GPA and or SAT score. So we do look for an SAT score to qualify for the highest level of international student scholarships, we have our top scholarship is an $8,000 per year award that equals 60% of your total tuition cost. And again, we have a very low cost of living here, so that brings the total cost of attendance down to a very manageable amount for a lot of international families. But again, we're looking for anybody from a 2.5 or higher in terms of that. So you can start as a first-time freshman undergrad right out of your secondary school. If you did an associate's degree or even some higher education in the US or elsewhere, we're looking for people who might be looking to transfer into one of our degree programs. And if you've already completed a bachelor's degree program, we have a number of master's degrees. I think we have about 175 different programs altogether. Usually what I say is the only things that we don't offer are the highly specialized engineering programs. So if you wanted to be in petroleum engineering or aerospace engineering or something like that, those aren't the programs we have. We do have engineering physics and mechanical and electrical. We've got biomedical. We've got a lot of different things, but just not those specialized engineering programs. And you may all be aware of optional practical training, or OPT. Mm-hmm. That's the ability to stay in the United States after you graduate and work and get some practical work experience. Everybody gets 1 year. If your degree program is STEM designated, you get an additional 2 years for a total of 3 years of OPT. We have over 60 different OPT degree programs for students to choose from. We're going to be adding a couple in the field of business here, starting in the fall. But a number of things in, like I said, biomedical. We do a lot of pre-medicine. We've got engineering. We've got computer science. We have the statewide mission for computer science and cybersecurity. We were the first group of schools to have ABET accreditation in our cybersecurity academic programs. So very much at the cutting edge if you're interested in cybersecurity and computer science.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Timlin. And I think it is so important that, many times when we grew up in the Caribbean and we think of coming to America, we think of the big cities. We think of New York City. We think of Atlanta. But in my view, having gone through the experience, and I'm sure as an international student will agree with me, it is more important to go to a non-big city area, because you're able to make that transition into the culture of the US, the culture of Canada. We also have Canada represented this evening, and just sort of integrate yourself into the culture and not be distracted. All the distractions of the major city. And yes, you do have access to the major city because you can travel to the major city. But with regards, I went to college in Wichita Falls, Texas. Nobody has ever heard of Wichita Falls, Texas, unless you're in the Air Force, right? And then everybody assumes I'm in Wichita, Kansas. But so important to go to school in a smaller town where there's less distraction. You still have the culture, you still have, everything that you need, a supportive community, an international student office that can help you with all your needs, but just being able to focus on your studies, right? So again, thank you, Dr. Timlin. Hope we can keep in touch, and I will be sure to post your website and your contact information so that students can reach out to you if they need to.
Great. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yes, you're welcome. Take care. Yes, so let's come over to you, Amy, as we start talking about the profile of the students that all the universities are looking for. And I would like to think that one of the profiles that you're looking for is a mature student, because for many of these students, they're going to be on their own. You're not going to have your parents necessarily there to remind you to do your assignments, to remind you to do your homework. So I would like to think that being a mature student is something that you're looking for as well. So just kind of tell us the profile of the students that you're looking for.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think any university is a big change, going just from the nature of going from your going into higher education. There's a lot more responsibility that comes with it. And I think there's a huge transition for even Canadian or domestic or American students. It's a big transition in life to go from living at home potentially with your family and having a lot of things at your fingertips, and then having to manage your time, manage your budget, manage how you're going to what courses to take. There's a big shift in responsibility when you come to university. There is a huge amount of support that comes with it, and you are amongst a group of peers all going through the same transition together. So that is nice that you kind of get that growing up time to mature and all that on campus amongst a group of, in Guelph's case, thousands of people at the same time as you. I think knowing what university you choose, especially as an international student, make sure there's certain supports on campus that are really specific to international students, because a lot of campuses, we have lots of supports that maybe only domestic or Canadian students would need. But then we have actually completely separate orientation. So we have our main big orientation that happens, and it's called, there's a big O week, and it's a huge thing. Even all the Canadians come, and we have this massive orientation as how you get across campus, how do you read your timetable, all those things that would be a first year thing that you would have as any student who's starting university. But as an international student, if this is your first time in Canada, or your first time traveling abroad, or just kind of getting used to Canadian culture, we have a separate orientation that happens 2 or 3 days before that help you to say, how do you open a bank account? Where are the grocery stores? How do I use the bus? So there is an added layer of being an international student that a lot of Canadians wouldn't have to follow, that they just know innately by being Canadian and living here. So I think making sure you're prepared for that and understand that there's a layer to coming to a new country that's exciting and wonderful, and there's so much, that you can learn and grow about yourself. And of course, everyone on this call is keen for, international experiences, and that's why we do what we do. But make sure whatever campus you choose also has a lot of support outside of what the domestic student engine would provide. Make sure there is some international support. We've had some students struggle with how to write a research paper. How they do their citations is different in our country, or how do we make a resume when they want to go get a job? Writing a resume can be different in Canada than it can be elsewhere. So it's things like that you got to look out for certain supports that you wouldn't think that you would need when you get here. So I would say we're definitely looking for a student that has done their research and figured out what school that they like, and yes, is prepared kind of for that growing up time. I don't know if I said that very eloquently, but
yes, very clear, very clear.
Be prepared, yes, kind of a bit of both, yeah.
Yes, thank you, very clear. So let's go over to Suni. Anyone like to present the profile of the students? And also, if you're accepting transfer credits, all that is important for our audience to know as well.
Yeah, I'll jump about profile, then I'll turn over to Maddie. She can talk about some of the services and stuff like that we do with our students to ensure their success. But for our profile, we're looking for a student with a minimum of a 2.5 GPA on a 4-point scale. We do accept transfer credit. For transfer students, we offer a $4,500 scholarship that's renewable for 2 years. And for those students, we do have another additional scholarship on top of that, specific for Caribbean students. And so that's a total of $5,000. We have that scholarship, but we also are piloting a new program where we partner up new students with on-campus jobs. We know that finding an on-campus job when you come to campus is sometimes a daunting task, and it takes a couple of weeks to kind of get it all set up. So we work with departments on campus who know they have positions open. They'll hold them for international students. We begin an interview process before you get to campus, and that allows us to put you in a position, and then also add that to your I-20 as well. So it's a sort of win-win for campus departments, but also for students. And the other thing I'll say is the student that's going to be really successful at Brockport comes to us and they're willing to go beyond just going to class every day. Our faculty are very involved and often involve our international students, all students, but our international students tend to be the outgoing ones who join in research, do applied learning activities. We always hear about international students from faculty across campus. Everyone knows who they are because they're the ones who are getting out there and taking advantage of every experience that's there. So I'll be quiet and let Maddie take it from there.
And then Thomas.
Okay, so we have a lot of different on-campus support services for our international students specifically, and that is the main component of my job on campus, is to support our international students. So I am their advisor and I'm their point person, and I can help them with anything that they want. I'm a Brockport alumni. I graduated in 2020, so I know all the ins and outs of campus, which really helps our international students. Some of the awesome things that we provide for our students is a host family program. So we take our new students and current students if they want to join, and we match them with different community members. They could be Brockport alumni, they could be different staff and faculty members on campus, or just really involved community members. And those host families take them to dinner, they have them over to their house for holidays. They take them to the grocery store or to the doctor. They're really there to be a way to have a family away from their family, which is really great. And some things for the future. I will be hopefully teaching a class for all first year students coming in the fall. So at Brockport, we do also have our own separate international student orientation. And this class is going to be a reiteration of that, but it'll be for all first year students in their first semester. And it'll meet once a week, and it's basically Brockport 101, teaching them how to use their accounts, how to go to tutoring. We'll talk about visas and immigration, and it's basically another way for me to check in on my students and make sure that they're doing okay. And I'm also looking to create a peer mentor program to set new international students up with current international students, just so that they can be supported even more. So hopefully that will start up soon.
Yeah, excellent. Who did I miss? Was it Thomas in terms of the profile of the students? Yes, please go ahead. And then we also want to talk about funding, because for many of our students, the biggest concern, because being from the islands myself, I know the US dollar trades 1 to almost 3 Eastern Caribbean dollars. So it is an investment, but it is a commitment in terms of finances. So we also want to talk about scholarship opportunities, financing opportunities as well. So Thomas, go ahead.
Yeah, no, so and this is the beauty of going last, is I want to second everything everybody said. And y'all said it best. Thank you so much for the presentation. We offer everything they said. So very good. What I'm going to say is we're an academic and merit school, so I'm going to push the envelope a little bit more. Mm-hmm. We find that our students that are the most successful have a 3.0 GPA, just because this is when they start triggering more scholarship. So they kind of find themselves in a situation where it's like they're paid a little less, so that way, there's this like, we're very close to the mental wellness and well-being on campus. This is something that we take very seriously, because you can't, as an international student, you cannot be successful. And I can tell you based on experience, if this is not right, the study's not right, nothing's right. So we really take care of our students. And we've identified that, if they pay a little less, there's a little bit less burden on them, on their family, on themselves. And as Keith was saying, if they want to find a job on campus, they can really make a dent in that payment. And I think this is the big piece is, I think this is for us, the equilibrium, the 3.0. And again, we accept students, so we have a 2.0 GPA for admission, but our most successful students starts at 3.0. And this is just, again, me being honest, but I think you can definitely benefit from this advice. Mm-hmm. As far as scholarship, we do have some really good opportunities. So there's 3 things that's important to understand with international students is you have 3 types of funding. Money given, which money given is money that's you've literally, you have a parent, a grandparents, family member that's giving you money to go to school. This is the best money, because this is usually the money that you're the most thankful for. The second type of money is money granted. Those are scholarship. So scholarship based on your academic merit. We also do athletic scholarship. Those are a little bit different because you have to be recruited, but there's always the opportunity. If you're top athletes, we do have a process to get that money. So once you secure that money, you have to make sure you make an effort to keep it. So usually you have to maintain a certain academic level to keep that money. This is the money granted. And finally, you have the money earned. The money earned is through your job. If you get a job on campus, Dr. Timlin was talking about OPT. Those are all the tools where you can work in the US and make money. So between money given, money earned, and money granted, usually we find that our students are pretty much flush. They've paid for their studies. So this is something that is very important for you, is we have ways to give you money, but you have also a way to earn it. And I think money earned is a little bit sweeter than money given. So because it really makes you feel special about your achievements. And again, once you've contributed to your success, you don't owe anything to anyone. This is yours. This is something that you've done it. You've accomplished it, and then you're moving forward. But again, it's a little bit hard for me to kind of go back. We do also have a family, we call it Friends of International program, where we pair you up with families. We do have an international orientation as well. Something that I want to say, and I think this is more of, I think we're all excited to coming to the Caribbean in about a month. And that should say a lot about, how the institution sees international students. If institutions are willing to support us to go to certain places, to find students, and for us, it's really gems, is because we're going to bring something else on campus. So, and we're going to be able to bring your culture, we're going to bring your food, your traditions, and we're going to embrace that. So no matter where you decide to go, whether it's Northwest, whether it's Guelph in Canada, Brockport, SEMO, you will be welcome, because our university is international enough to support you. And I think this is really important for you to understand. And when we get to meet each other in person, just know that you will get the right support, and your family can be at peace when it comes to with a clean state of mind, because you'll be supported in the US. You're not going to be dumped on a campus. And this is something that's important.
Yeah, and what I'm going to encourage my audience to do as well is I posted everybody's contact information, and of course the email address includes the website for the institution. Amy, I don't have your contact information, so when I come over to you, I will get it from you, but I am going to encourage our listeners, our audience, to go to the websites in advance, because I don't want us to be spending time when you get to the islands talking about what do you offer in terms of programs, because the programs are on the websites. So I want this to be more about talking about how do I qualify? Do you accept transfer credits? Funding my education, rather than having questions about, what do you offer in terms of degrees? Because the information is right there to look. So I want to strongly encourage our audience, Facebook, YouTube, and the radio, to be sure to go to each of the websites. It is posted in the comment section on Facebook and YouTube, and do your research. Please don't let me hear my guest coming back and saying to me, Simone, everybody was asking, what do you offer? What do you offer? That is not why we are coming all the way from the US to the Caribbean to answer questions about what do we offer. This is the questions to talk about. Do I qualify? What can I do to qualify? How can I fund this education? So that is what I hope that our time down there will be spent on. But Amy, I know you may have to head out in a little while, so let me come over to you, because we also know that many students are not first-time. Many students have probably earned a couple of credits before, and they're interested in knowing, do you accept transfer credits? And as an online professor myself, I would be remiss to not ask you guys, do you also offer online opportunities? So a whole lot of questions all in one. I hope you got it. So Amy, first of all, let me get your contact information.
Right now, my email, or?
Yes.
Sure, it's AVANRENS at uoguelph.ca. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I'll post that as well, because I did not have it before. So that's fine. So let's talk about, transfer credits, online opportunities, and everything else before you head out.
Yeah, I think, and also applying to Canada, I think makes it slightly different for In Canada, the way that we would admit a student is you aren't necessarily going to apply to the University of Guelph. You are going to apply to a specific program at Guelph. We don't have an overall standard that would get you into any program. You're not applying to the university. You're going to apply to the Bachelor of Science in Biomedical, or you're going to apply to the Bachelor of Arts in History. Each of those different programs have a different requirement, different level, different GPA, different grade to get into. So you can apply to multiple different programs, and you may get multiple offers from us to say, here's 3 different offers to 3 different programs. So it's slightly different in Canada that when you are applying to a program, it would depend on the transfer credit. So final answer, yes, we do accept transfer credit. It would depend on what you've done your credit in and what you are applying to. So if you're doing a high school credit and you're doing it in physics and chemistry, biology, it would usually give you some sort of credit over it if you're studying in a Bachelor of Science. If you've taken those courses and you apply to do something like a Bachelor of History or Political Science, I can't always guarantee that those courses would transfer over and you would get credit towards your Bachelor of History degree because you've held a bio at a higher level. So it would really depend on that. Or if you are coming from a higher institution already, like a college or university where you're from, we do allow transfers into programs. And again, those are evaluated at what scores you received. And if you are similar programs, then it's likely that most of your credit would transfer back and forth. But if you are changing programs completely, which is wonderful, it's great to have a change of heart, and that's a great moment in life, but not all your credits sometimes will transfer over completely. So there is a bit of a difference there in terms of that, but we very much accept international transfers. You guys, again, would have your own pathways, program counselors to help you get into it. So sometimes it just depends on those credit numbers that you have and how quickly we can get you into that flow of credits here. Just because the Canadian application, we're a very merit-based system up here in Canada. So when you do apply to most institutions across Canada, there's no essay required, there's no reference checks. It's a very merit-based. You send in your transcript, it's 100% based on grades. I can't say that for all institutions. And here at Guelph, we do allow some student profile forms to learn a bit more about yourself. We are SAT optional, so we do take in other accounts, but mainly it's a very merit-based system. Some love that they don't have to write an essay, that they don't have to do reference checks. All they do is send us their grades and we evaluate whether you're in or out. Others like the idea of having to add a bit more information about themselves just to give more of a holistic view of them and have us understand. It is, when it gets down to scholarships, we do have a bit, there's slightly different types of scholarships. Merit-based scholarships that are, again, awarded on your grades, awarded on what credits you're going to bring. Other types of scholarships are much more based on your essay, your leadership skills, your interview skills. So there are the ability to kind of bring those skills to the table. But overall, Canada in general is a very merit-based system compared to the US, from my understanding, which is a little more of a holistic view of you as a whole person, which is lovely as well. So, but yes, we do offer transfer credits, but it would depend on your program, again, that you're coming in and out of.
Yes, for that. And I only have one more question before we head out, because I want to make sure that we take an hour to do this program. And again, if you missed a portion of the program, or if you know someone who will benefit for this program, you can always jump on Push Past 10 PUSHPAST10 on Facebook and YouTube. And I think it is so important what we're doing here, because it feels like we're creating this Caribbean Education Consortium where we have these different universities and we have different offerings, but we're all already familiar with our Caribbean students and we're investing in our people. So this is truly a great opportunity for the Caribbean and for our people. So again, I really want to thank the universities who are represented here for being a part of this movement to advance our Caribbean people. But the other question that comes to mind very quickly is that, especially here in the US, I'm not sure, I don't think it applies to Canada, but correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, we see these shootings all over the country. And the question has to be asked, how safe is your campus? What about safety of the students when they come to your campus? So it is unfortunate, but that is a question that we have to put forward, because for many families who are willing to send their students overseas to study, it is a concern. So let's talk about safety on your campus and in the general area of the campus where the students will frequent. Thomas, you can begin. No, I'm sorry. Let's go with Keith. I haven't heard from Keith in a little while. Sorry, Thomas.
No, I'll just say that as I mentioned before, we're located just outside of the city of Rochester, so we're in a small town of Sweden, village of Brockport. Pretty much everything is there on campus that you need, and so it's a very safe campus. In a larger sense, however, we also are in New York State. New York State's a very progressive state and is very restrictive in terms of gun laws compared to some other states in the U.S. And so, while I can't say there's never any gun violence, you don't really, you don't have some laws that kind of promote some of that or let some of that happen in New York State. We're pretty strict with it here, but just like anywhere, things can happen. But I will say that me personally, I feel safe being in New York and being in Rochester and being in Brockport.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything you want to add, Maddie? Okay, he did it just fine. Thomas, you?
No, I think what Keith was saying is really important. I think is this, and I kind of touched base on it. And Dr. Matthew, you confirmed on the community aspect. I think as university, we're responsible to sharing, our culture, to sharing, what we're trying to bring to the community. And I think that unfortunately, what we see on media is a lack of communication. Again, those hate crimes, they're really hate crimes. I mean, it brings nothing good to the community. I think that they can be prevented by having people who are willing to talk about these things and to bring this cultural piece to the table. And I think this is something that, I've mentioned it, we have our own police department on campus, university police department. And they do a really good job. They have been the mediators, and they've done all the trainings, and they really support our efforts. And because this is something that we're aware, but there's something I must add, and this is very, very important. There are shootings everywhere, and sometimes, and this is something that is very important to highlight. Is I know the U.S. is under a huge spotlight because they claim a certain status in the global order. So people, when something happens in the U.S., they use it. They use it because they want to shine the negative light on the U.S. I am an international student. I've never seen any gun violence, and I've been in the U.S. for 15 years. Again, is it because I'm lucky? Is it because I'm in an area of the U.S. where it might not be as popular? Because people might be a little bit more aware. Because we're not in a big city, and I think that that's another role is we don't really hear gun violence in smaller cities because there's not much drama happening in those smaller communities. Everybody knows each other. You know your neighbor. I think that plays a big piece. But again, we know it is unfortunate, and it's something that we can't really control. We can only prepare for. But
yeah. And just ensure your safety procedures are in order.
That's correct, and we do everything we can. And I think some students they are compared to New York State. We're a little bit different. For us, we do have a big hunting community. Like for us, hunting is something that's very popular. I mean, we have beautiful animals. We have some, it's definitely a destination for us. We have people travel the world to come hunting in Missouri. Duck, deer, turkey, really pretty much anything. I mean, for us, we have some of the most beautiful specimen when it comes to wildlife. So it's something that we're a little bit more trained than
right.
other states because some of our community has received the training, and our officers are very aware of that, and so it works good. It works good.
Yeah. And let me also say, because I also lived in New York, I went to Columbia University, and I always felt safe when I was in the city because the police presence is very heavy. So, living in New York City, I lived in New York City for 10 years, and I never had any issue with safety. So I can only imagine that in upstate New York, there's an additional element of safety. But Amy, let me come to you on that point, and you can also give us your final comments as we get ready to wind down the program.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the neighbor to the north here, we're very influenced by American culture and what happens down in America. But I do think the idea of weapons and guns is very treated extremely differently in Canada. Our gun laws are much, much more strict up here.
Yep.
It's not something you would ever usually come across. I'm not to say it's a non-issue, but it's definitely not something we discuss within our politics or anything like that at a big scale.
Mhm.
I don't usually have many questions or concerns about that up in Canada in general. And I think our immigration policy up here is really welcoming. As Canadians, we have a lot of space and not enough people, so we're very welcome to our immigration policies are very open door. So
I've heard it.
So that it is nice that even just the culture of having immigrants, and Toronto is an extremely multicultural place. There's a lot of different people from a huge amount of backgrounds, and Canada's really, really proud of that. And it's a zero tolerance, even across campus, across Ontario, across most of Canada, as to how you treat people from different cultures, the different languages on campus, and even within Canada in general. There's so many different immigrants within our staff team. We are all immigrants to Canada. I'm an immigrant to Canada. So there's tons of different opportunities across Canada. Just, it's a very welcoming place in terms of being an international student. I know I'm a bit biased because I live up here, but I do think it's a soft landing for international students. There's certain concerns that are just really welcomed here as an international student, to have that big American experience in terms of how the campuses look. And we have kind of very similar styles here, just a different sort of culture. In some ways, we don't have other things that you guys offer, like your big Greek life and all the other things that, don't really exist up in Canada. So you can't have it all, I guess, but it's, it's a very welcoming place up here. So kind of just a different culture, but close enough, I guess.
Yes, and thank you for being here. And what I'm going to do, as we circle back around and everyone can give their final thoughts, I'm going to put up the flyers for the different events, because each university is going to be represented in the Caribbean in June. So I want to ensure that our audience know exactly when and in which island you will be on different days. So as we go to you, Maddie, for your final thoughts, let me go ahead and pull that up so we can show the audience exactly where you will be each day. So Maddie, go ahead, your final thoughts, please.
Sorry to interrupt, Maddie. I'm just going to bow out and say my quick goodbye. I do need to leave right at 7. So I just want to say thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to meeting everyone and talking about Canada and Guelph in general. And to my lovely other panelists, I can't wait to see you guys down there as well. So
yes, and enjoy the islands. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Go ahead, Maddie.
Thank you all. I'm looking forward to meeting you all in the Caribbean in June, and I'm really excited to see you all, and thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you. Thomas, your final words?
Same thing. Thank you, Dr. Matthew, for having us. Thank you, everyone, for listening. It's something that's very special for us. I think what's even more special is we get to come see you, and I think this is very exciting. I'm very excited to be with Maddie and with our fun group, with Dr. Timlin, with Dr. Glenn, in the Caribbean in June, to support you in whatever endeavors you think is best for you. Thank you, and see you soon.
Yes, and before we take the final word from Keith, let me say a very special thank you to Dr. Randy Glean over at Western Illinois University for bringing this together, because as we know, Dr. Glean has been involved with international students for the last 30 years, investing in the region, and I his investments. So, I tell him all the time, when you change one student's life, you're changing the trajectory of the entire generations who will come after the students, because now I'm married and have a daughter, and she's here in the US with us. So you've pretty much changed the trajectory of generations of people to come after me. So we want to thank Dr. Randy Glean for his efforts, for his commitment to educating Caribbean students for the last 30 years. I think he's over 2,000 students at this point. So Dr. Glean, again, thank you for your commitment to educating Caribbean students. And if you're listening via the radio and you want to know the dates that Keith, I didn't forget you. You want to know the dates what is going to be in the Caribbean for this program. Let's take a look. On June 5th, they will be in Dominica. So we are talking about Southeast Missouri University, Northwest Missouri State University, St. George's University School of Medicine, University of Guelph in Ontario, Canada, State University of New York, SUNY, Western Illinois University, and Eastern Illinois University. So those flyers are on Push Past 10, and you click on the collaborations tab. So again, Dominica, June 5th. Then we have St. Lucia, June 6th. And we also have Grenada, June 9th. So again, if you do not have a pen handy, you can't write the dates down, just go ahead and hop on over to pushpast10.com and click on the collaborations link, and you will be able to see all that we are talking about. So Keith, your final thoughts as we wind down.
So to say thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Matthew, for inviting us and having us here. I'm kind of jealous of Maddie that she gets to go and talk to all of you guys this summer, but that's great. I'm excited to hear all of the wonderful conversations she's going to have with you guys, and thank you very much, and all the best.
Yes, so thank you. Thank you for being here to represent your universities. I look forward to being your media partner in this collaboration, in this consortium, because we can certainly see the value of bringing all these universities together for the benefit of our Caribbean people and our Caribbean region. So again, I am Simone Matthew. This is Push Past 10. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and follow and subscribe on YouTube to continue to receive updates on this program, because this is the end of April and we have through May. So any updates that come along, you will want to be apprised of those updates. So again, don't forget to follow us and to subscribe. And again, thank you for being here, everyone. Have a good evening, and we will be in touch soon. Take care. Thank you.